Hey everybody, thank you for clicking this video to watch it, but quick update before you actually do. This is a Zelda discussion video between myself, RMFH Gaming, and Patreon supporter of mine, Gus RMFH. Now, this video was plagued all the way through with technical difficulties, so whenever you watch the video, it will be me and RMFH on actual video, and whenever Gus is talking, he will be represented by Twilight Princess HD gameplay. So with that said, I want to thank Zelda Amino for actually allowing this video to be possible. If not for them, then editing this would have been a complete nightmare, so please go check them out. And if you're wondering what Zelda Amino is, or Hyrule Amino, it is like someone took the best of Facebook and the best of Twitter and just combined them into one awesome social media platform for Zelda fans, so please go check them out. And enjoy the video. Hi everybody, I'm Jesse, or Game Over Jesse as you all may know me, and today we're going to be discussing Zelda Wii U, Nintendo's pattern with the remakes, Ganondorf, and we're going to go a little in depth with the Sheikah tribe and the Book of Medora. Here to discuss all these topics with me is RMFH Gaming and Gus RMFH. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself so the people that are watching can be up to date on who you are and what exactly it is that you do.
Well, hello, my name is Gustavo, or as Gus RMFH, as many people know me, because much of my name is extremely long to pronounce. I'm a marketing student with a minor on graphic design, which I'm currently taking. I have a blog, which is called JustJulyo.com. I had the domain for a long time, and recently I tried to reinvent what I like into applying some concepts of video games in what they get inspiration from as well. Some hypothetical examples towards physics, history, and socio-economical aspects that can be found in video games that are in.
What's up guys, I'm RMFH. I also make Zelda related content, mostly theories and things along those lines. I have a couple Let's Play series on my channel, but that's about it. Let's go ahead and get on with the discussion.
Alright, so the first topic of discussion is the state of remakes and the pattern Nintendo's had over the past few years with the Zelda series. We've seen every Zelda game from the SNES era, starting with A Link to the Past, until Twilight Princess, which just now released, which started on the GameCube, and now it's being remade, or was remade, for the Wii U in HD. With the pattern that Nintendo's been going with, after Zelda Wii U comes out in a couple of years, we're going to eventually see Skyward Sword HD being remade for the NX or the Wii U or whatever console it comes out on. And when that happens, Nintendo's going to be out of home console Zelda titles to remake. Because we've seen A Link to the Past being remade or reimagining, depending on how you look at it, with A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. We've seen Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask being remade in 3D for the 3DS as well. And lately we've gotten Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD remade for the Wii U. So after Skyward Sword inevitably gets remade in HD, what do? Do they dip into their handheld games and start remaking games like Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, Link's Awakening? Do they start remaking or remaking some of the older games like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, but in HD as opposed to 3D? Or will they start doing the same thing they did with Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, where they don't want to wait so long to release their next Zelda game, so they reuse the engine from Zelda Wii U to sort of make a quicker development cycle for whatever game comes after Zelda Wii U, and reuse some of the same characters and artwork and graphic style and everything to make a brand new adventure. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
Well, I personally think that all of those points that you brought up there are, great ideas, and Nintendo should really be implementing every last one of those going into the future. I mean, I could see them after Skyward Sword most likely remastering games like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. Those will probably be some of the first ones, I personally think. If not, they'll probably end up, redoing Ocarina of Time in HD and porting it to the NX or something, and along with Majora's Mask, just to make that little extra bit of cash out of them, because we've seen so many games recycled throughout the console lifespans. Like almost every console has had its own version of a certain Zelda game that was put back on it, not every game, but there are those select few that have gotten ported to consoles throughout the years. As for, using a different engine, I could definitely see them doing that, and the creators have already talked about speeding up the time between Zelda games. So if they have Zelda Wii U and it's a good engine and everything works on that engine, I don't see why it wouldn't be a good idea to reuse that engine and just make a new game similar to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. But that's basically all I've got.
All right, it's some good points there. And what about your thoughts, Gus?
Oh, I appreciate it. In my opinion, I don't think that the game is going to get the yearly treatment whenever the remakes or the reimagining cycle ends. I think that it can go in between a 3-4 year development cycle before it actually we get a new game. I feel that treatment is getting more on the Pokemon franchise. Even so, they still get the reimagine and remakes, but their cycle is less and it's more easier to produce and also give it to the masses, which I don't see that too much in Zelda, but I think that maybe we're going to get a reboot of the franchise at a certain point, and maybe at the end we're going to get a new timeline after what Jesse said, that after the Skyward Sword remake or reimagining happens, we're maybe going to get something new towards Zelda, but that's just mere speculation for my part. And I was thinking also towards the not use, but the way that they keep producing the storyline that in certain ways being recycled over and over and over. The development team, they should go and also check on what the fans are doing, saying, and trying to see what they can improve towards any new games that come within the Zelda franchise. I was reading that earlier, something about what you said. I'm sorry, I forgot the other one, about what Rick said earlier. And if they condense also, if they use the same palettes, the same models, but they add a new story, that could be fun for the viewers, for the players, but if they don't improve and they don't let the story grow organically, I always compare it to the Oracle series, that it was 2 games that could be played as one. The series itself can lose some players as well, it will lose some money in the process. I had played some of the fan games, which I found that really interesting. They offer nothing much of a new thing, but they explore the use of other platforms, such as the mobile consoles, let's say the iPhone, the iPad. There is one fan game that I'm actually reading on the Zelda Wiki right now that is called The Legend of the Princess. It's essentially a link to the past with some new enemies, but it's something that you can play on your phone or you can play on the tablet, and it's actually really fun on that one. And they should go on that level as many of the other developments, and they shouldn't restrict themselves towards what the people want.
Hey everybody, Jesse here, and I want to say thank you for watching all of the first topic. We still have 2 left, and thank you for watching and being interested in what we have to say about Zelda. And if you have something to say about Zelda, then please visit the Zelda Amino app, download it on your phone, and talk to people like me and Gus and RMFH. Share your ideals with us and let us know what you're into with the Zelda series, your favorite dungeons and whatnot. Because if it wasn't for Zelda Amino, this video would not be possible. It was plagued with issues, as you can tell. It's one of the longest videos that I've done, and it is plagued with technical issues, so I apologize for that. But if it wasn't for them, this whole video would have been scrapped. So please show your support for them, show your support for this channel, find me on the app. Talk to me, talk to RMFH, talk to all the other crazy Zelda fans on there, and thank you.
All right, so Rick, do you have your own topic to bring up to discuss with us?
Yeah, actually I do. My topic is, you know how we see Ganondorf reused over and over again throughout the franchise and everything. If you look into the timeline and everything like that, most of the stories that play out with him are pretty much the same. And it even goes as far to Vati. His story is reused over and over again. The only original ones that we've gotten so far out of the handful of villains are, Girahim, which he was connected with Demise, and we got Demise, but that's still, foreshadowing what Ganondorf and everything. So it's almost the same song and dance there. We've got Vati, we've got Maladis, and we've got the Varen and Onyx from the Oracle games, and Yuga. And that's basically about it. But when you look at it, they all play a part with Ganondorf.
Yeah, they all just seem like different variations or different takes on what we think of as Ganondorf.
Exactly. So, my question is like, what would you guys like to see in terms of a new villain rather than Ganondorf? Or if we did see Ganondorf in a new Wii U title like Zelda Wii U, or a new Zelda title, what would you guys like to see Ganondorf take on the role of, rather than the main villain? Like we've been told he's not the main villain in this game. Basically, what would you guys like to see from him and another villain in the next game?
If it was every single game, like say from Skyward Sword, we've had A Link Between Worlds, Triforce Heroes, and then I think Zelda Wii U will be next. So I think those were the only new games that have came out since then. And even in Skyward Sword, we had a sort of a take on Ganondorf. It wasn't Ganondorf, it was Demise, but we found out at the end of the game Demise reincarnates himself to be not just Ganondorf, but any version of evil that comes to Hyrule. So whether that be Vati or even Majora, some think it's really just your own opinion on that. But with reusing Ganondorf specifically, he wasn't in A Link Between Worlds. It was what was his name?
Yuga.
Yeah, it was Yuga, who turned into a version of Ganon, but it wasn't Ganondorf turning into Ganon. And then with Triforce Heroes, I don't believe Ganondorf was in that as well. So if they bring Zelda Wii U and Ganondorf is in it, I would actually like to see that, because we haven't had Ganondorf in who knows how long in a brand new game. So to bring him to Zelda Wii U, and it being the first Zelda game that's actually in HD, I think it would be nice to see that take on Ganondorf, how he looks with that art style and everything, how he's trying to take over Hyrule this time. But if we had a new Zelda game every year or every other year, and they kept on using Ganondorf, I wouldn't like it. There would need to be some change. But where there's such a long gap between brand new Zelda games, I think it's fine to bring back Ganondorf. And they said Ganondorf won't be the main villain in one of the interviews, but that could simply be them just trying to throw us off. We may see something similar to Zant in Twilight Princess or Girahim in Skyward Sword, to where it seems like they're the main antagonist, the main bad guy, but then when you get closer to the end of the game, you find out that there's a much larger evil behind them. So if it's something like that, then they could be saying Ganondorf isn't the main bad guy of this game to throw us off, so whenever we do see that character that is like Girahim or Zant, then we'll have full faith that that is the main bad guy that we have to stop. And then when Ganondorf is finally revealed, then it'll be a surprise or a shock. So it could be their way of not ruining it for us, but who knows? And even, I know it was a statement from Nintendo themselves, but you have to remember, I believe it was Miyamoto or Aonuma, one of the two, when the footage of Zelda Wii U was first released, there's a lot of people saying that Link in the trailer looked like he was a female. They weren't sure that if it was actually Link or a female version of Link. And someone, again, Miyamoto or Aonuma, made the comment that they never said that was Link. And then a lot of people took it as, oh, it is a girl in the trailer, it is a female version of Link. And then when he was asked again in a later interview a few months later, he said that he never said that it wasn't Link. He just said that he never said it was Link. So obviously they like to play on words and have fun with their fan base.
Oh, definitely.
So it's really just a matter of how serious they're being whenever they give these statements, because obviously they can't reveal too much information because they don't want to give away the game. And even saying that Ganondorf is in it could possibly tell you where it lies in the timeline, because we know Ganondorf doesn't show up until Ocarina of Time, and then he comes back in A Link to the Past and Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. But if they say he's in this Zelda game, then we know it has to take place after one of those 3 games that take place at the beginning of the timeline.
That's true. That's very true. And I do see your point there with that. The long gaps in between the two, the games and everything, especially the console titles, does give it that much breathing room for us to cool off from Ganondorf and the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, not to the T the same story, but it's basically you gotta go save Zelda and defeat Ganondorf.
Yeah. Aside from Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf, he's usually sealed, he breaks out somehow, he causes havoc, you have to fight him and end up sealing him again. So, different plots throughout the games that he's in, but it's all similar stories. Just different variations on how he breaks loose from the seal and how he's resealed and what his actual plans are.
Yeah. My other point was seeing him as a more of a neutral character in Zelda Wii U. There's a high possibility that he will be seen, if he is in this new Zelda game, as a neutral character from what Nintendo's telling us. I mean, they could be trying to throw us off like with the Zant and Ganondorf thing in Twilight Princess. But if he is in this new game and he's not a main villain or anything, it would be nice to see him in a kind of like mentor form, or maybe even a mentor to the new villain that's in this next Zelda title.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. Maybe if it takes place after a certain Zelda game or something, instead of Ganondorf being sealed or something, maybe he survived, but now he's a tired old man that can't really cause much of a threat himself, so he's mentoring someone to sort of not do his job for him, but sort of lead him on that path to try and accomplish what he wasn't able to.
When I had the chance to play a little bit A Link Between Worlds, I thought that Yuga was actually nice, but reusing Ganondorf at the end, I thought that was just a cliche.
Yeah, that totally agree with you.
It was the same with Batty. Batty, at first I liked it when I played on the Minish Cap. That was the first one that I played with Batty, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the villain itself had some humanity. But as the game progressed and saw the 4 swords, and we can name the other ones, I thought that was too much. I was thinking maybe something as Spirit Tracks, get a new villain from a new world. There's plenty of ways to explore, but that's up to Aonuma and the developing team.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a topic that I had to choose at this moment, that will be much in synchrony with Rick and synchrony with you, Jesse, that it goes, for me, will be more on the human development of Ganondorf. Probably not see him as much as close, but if Zelda Wii U is going to take what Skyward left behind, I will say if we're going to see him more in a human way, not a man with power, but as you guys mentioned, a person that is the king of the Gerudos, but somebody that is struggling with his inner demons and trying to see how he's going to react with the other worlds. The other topic that I was thinking about it was how the different timelines can merge into each other, as not merge but interact with each other, as we can say on A Link Between Worlds, and we have the Lorule acts with Hyrule at the same time, that they collide almost. That is something that it could bring, let's say, maybe a spiritual sequel of Majora's Mask on a new title, that we can see Majora's interacting with Hyrule as it was with Terminus.
Yeah, going on that, like a return to Termina, seeing where Termina lies years after Majora's Mask, I always thought it would be interesting if they did a sequel to Twilight Princess, to where we know Twilight Princess takes place 100 or a few hundred years after Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So what would it be like for Link from Twilight Princess to somehow find a way to Termina and see how Termina has changed, just like Hyrule has changed within those hundreds of years? And what kind of new evil is there? Is it Majora somehow coming back like Ganondorf does, or is there a new evil trying to take over Termina? And how does that affect Hyrule? Similar to how like Termina is believed to be a land parallel to Hyrule, just as Lorule is parallel to Hyrule, the Dark World is a parallel world to Hyrule. So Link in some of the games is able to travel back and forth between those two separate worlds. What if there was, in the Twilight Princess sequel, a way for him to travel back and forth between Termina and Hyrule, and how they're similar?
Probably, in my opinion, one thing that I would love to see within that development, it's that they can take one of the original concepts that it was stated on Hyrule Historia, and which The Legend of Zelda was mostly a futuristic fantasy. They can take that technological future and place it inside Termina, still mixing up the magic, but at the same time trying to interact with technology, not trying to mimic Final Fantasy per se, but adding much of the mythos that surrounds the Hyrule fantasy as a franchise.
I like what you're saying, Gus. That would be pretty cool to see. And as we can see in Termina and just in Majora's Mask, they're a little more technologically advanced than the people in Hyrule are. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to, throw something like that into the mix if they were to go back to, Termina eventually later on down the franchise. And it would be cool to revisit those original thoughts that they had when they were first making the games, or Link to the Past, trying to make a more futuristic Zelda game, but still hold that fantasy and lore in there that we all know and love, without going too far out of the realm of Zelda.
Yeah,
and they actually explored that one. I mean, not with Zelda, but with Chrono Cross, staying with Chrono Trigger. Well, not Chrono Trigger, but Chrono Cross, that was on Nintendo, that it has a vast world that changed within the areas that the characters visit. I'm actually replaying the game. They could take that concept and evolve it between Termina, Hyrule, and see what they can take between the eras, or just one set of the scenario. Let's say that Link can come back on the moment that he left, or a new Link come back when the other one left, and that Link can explore the time, how Termina grows, and how the worlds influence each other as well with the technology.
See what you're saying there. Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. That would be really, really cool to see Nintendo pull off with the Zelda franchise.
Yeah, and I think it would be interesting just to see more history of Hyrule, as Gus was saying earlier, how the different worlds kind of interconnect with each other. We see in Lorule, whenever they had their war, their Triforce ended up getting corrupted and destroyed, whereas the Triforce in Hyrule, I believe, was taken over by Ganondorf and used to take over Hyrule, which is what we see in Ocarina of Time. So was there a similar situation that happened in Termina to where it led them down? Because we see the fallen kingdom of Icona, and that could be similar to Hyrule Kingdom falling, and then everyone moving from Icona Valley to Clocktown, and then getting a new form of government. Instead of having a king or something, they move on to an electoral vote and they have the mayor. So what caused that before the events of Majora's Mask? What caused them, the people of Termina, to go against their government, the king of Icona, and start a new civilization in the middle of Clocktown? Because we see also, if you look at the three separate, not really the three separate timelines, but the different worlds, there's the mask from the Twilight Realm that we see, which is, some could say that's similar to the mask, Majora's Mask from Termina. And then, so there's these different things that connect all these separate worlds. So what else is there that connects them aside from those few things? And it would be nice to see, we see Ocarina, or not Ocarina of Time, we see Hyrule through several different years and generations and stuff, and how it's changed through years. And I think it would be great to see how Termina itself has changed within the years, because we see different representations of Hyrule, and I would love to see that next representation of Termina, whether it be like going from Hyrule from Ocarina of Time to Hyrule from Twilight Princess. It was a lot larger, it was expanded on, there was new territories added. What could they add to Termina? And how could they make that connect with the other worlds, like Lorule or the Dark World or Hyrule? Or if, sorry to interrupt, but
no worry.
With Hyrule you have Lorule and the Dark World, which are parallel worlds of that. In Termina, does Termina have its own Dark World? Does it have its own Sacred Realms? That would be nice to explore.
I'm sorry, I have to switch for a little bit the topic for a moment. I just had an epiphany, not an epiphany, but a idea. Maybe one of the villains that could be on this new game could be the interlopers.
Ooh. That would be really cool. Sorry.
No,
yeah, that would be definitely interesting.
They have that power that has influenced not only Hyrule but the Twilight Realm. That's one. They have influenced almost anything around them, and up to the point that the goddesses, they punish them. Maybe that could be one of the hints that I know Miyamoto will try to say, that it's not Ganondorf per se, but how much what the mice cost. This is just a crazy theory that I just had in my head. How Ganondorf was influenced by the dark magic from the interlopers, that they were trying to gain power and conquer the lands. That could be one of the villains that could appear in the new game.
Yeah, and with the Dark Interlopers, there are a lot of people that believe that the Dark Interlopers are members of the Sheikah tribe that tried rebelling against the Hyrule family. Because we know the Sheikah are a magical ancient tribe that their sole purpose is to protect Hyrule and the royal family. So maybe there were those in the Sheikah tribe that tried to go against them, and then because they had magic, they were the Dark Lopers that the legend or that cutscene in specific speaks about. And then it would make sense, since they're trying to go against the kingdom and Ganondorf tries to take over the kingdom, that maybe there is some sort of influence there, because we see the only other Gerudo that knows magic, or the only other people in Hyrule that knows magic, is Twinrova, which is Konome and Katake, or however you pronounce their name, Ganondorf's mothers from Ocarina of Time. So maybe they were members of the Sheikah tribe, and they're the ones that influenced Ganondorf to take over.
maybe that's definitely a possibility. Especially with them, almost. I mean, they influence him in the Oracle games as well with reincarnation and bringing him back in that beast form. Gus,
I'm listening. No, I was listening.
Oh, I'm done. That's all I really got to say.
Yeah, you can give your opinion on it now. I'm sorry if I took your what you said in a different way. You can take it back to what you were explaining. That was just how I thought about it. And for the people watching, if you hear my daughter, I apologize. I had to get her, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem for you all because she's so cute. Alright, so you can continue, Gus.
On that level that I was saying about Termina, I don't have anything else to say, but towards the interlopers, that will be the topic that I would like to submit as a possible one, about the new villains and about how their history and a personal story about the Sheikah tribe could be explored within the new game that is coming later this year.
Yeah, and if we go back to what I was saying was a popular theory that the interlopers were members of the Sheikah tribe that were banished or removed from the tribe and they created their own group, it would be kind of match up with the Zelda Wii U because we do see Link with the book that has the Sheikah symbol on it, and not many Sheikah are actually seen throughout the Zelda series, so maybe Zelda Wii U does have something to do with the interlopers. It wouldn't be that far out there to say that it actually does.
I was thinking that book is just, again, my opinion, this is based on what I remember from Ocarina of Time, that is almost as the same book that is found in the Lake Lab, and it could have a reference to the Sheikah, but also it will be amazing, and I know this is by a mistranslation, that book could be I hope that I can say it right, Mudora's book from A Link to the Past. That not only the language, but the prophecies of Hyrule will be explored more deeply on that one.
Yeah, and I had a theory that kind of took what you're saying and kind of expanded on it. It's where the Book of Medora from A Link to the Past, there's also the Ancient Sky Book from Twilight Princess that you're given from the Sheikah, or not Sheikah, but Impaz in the Hidden Village, which would be Old Kakariko Village. So a lot of people think that maybe that is another version of the Book of Medora, since it's the Ancient Sky Book. And then in the artwork for Skyward Sword, you see Zelda's father, Gaepora, in the artwork. I don't think in the actual game, but again, in the artwork, he has a book that resembles the Book of Medora as well. So,
actually, on the game, he has the book. I think he's on the waist. That's like one of my memories. I was playing the game not long ago again. I've been playing like little by little, and I remember Gaepora having like the book next to him as well. I was checking on the Hyrule story, and he always been carrying that book. I'm sorry for interrupting. I apologize.
No, you're fine. So yeah, that book that he has could be passed down through generations, and instead of having its original name, they would just refer to it as the Ancient Sky Book, because by the time Twilight Princess takes place, who knows how many hundreds or even 1,000 years after Skyward Sword, because so many games happen between Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, they could have forgot where the book came from, what the actual title of it was called, and just referred to it as the Ancient Sky Book, because that's all they know is that it's really old, so it's ancient, and it comes from the sky, or it comes from Skyloft, so they call it the Ancient Sky Book. But it could have been the same exact book that he has that could have been passed down through generations as the Book of Medora.
One of my problems, I mean, and even thinking with the theory, it's with the localization. On the Japanese version, it was only mostly like a linguistic book, but when it came to the Nintendo of America, it became more something complex, and I was wondering how the company is going to retcon the origins of the book instead, because with one side we have the Japanese, that they have already the information that Mudora's book is only like a power-up item just to decipher the Hylian language. I think the ancient Hylian language, and then we have the ones that we have here, like two different versions. And I've been thinking how the company is going on an international level to create a conciliation, so both versions come as to one, and it will give something new to the viewers as well to the players.
Yeah, that's you bring up a good point, because as you were saying, that's exactly right. The Japanese text for the Book of Medora explains it as just a translation book, or sort of like an encyclopedia of the Sheikah language, or the ancient language, or however they describe it, whereas in the American version it's looked at as a book not just for translating, which is what it's used for in the game, but containing secrets and stuff that you may not know about, or stuff like that. And that would also explain if it did have ancient secrets and stuff, and it was more than just an encyclopedia. That would explain how Gayapura knew so much about the goddesses, the land below, and stuff like that. Because if he had the book that had all these secrets in it, then that would explain how he's able to fill in Link on everything, and he's the only one in Skyloft that actually knows of this information, since he's the only one with the book.
And that's something that we see Link carrying almost the same book, which it probably could be connected. And that's what I was thinking previously, that Link is connected not only to the Sheikah or the Gerudos, but he has all the information maybe just on his ways, on how to react to the world and see what everything, and have the knowledge to interact and be around. I don't know how to say it properly. It's like he has all this information within his hands, and he has all the power how to use it. I would like to see how they develop that idea into Link not only being almighty, but being somebody simple that is trying to understand all the power that he inherited to the reincarnation cycle, and how the book is going to help him.
Yeah, and if it is the Book of Medora in the trailer that we see for Zelda Wii U, then the plot could be something like he finds the book, but it has certain chapters, certain pages missing, containing secret knowledge that he needs to find out in order to stop whatever evil has come to Hyrule, whether it be Ganondorf or someone else. So you would go dungeon to dungeon or location to location to rediscover these lost chapters, so you can find the information you need to stop Ganondorf.
Almost similar to Twilight Princess in the Sky Book, and how you have to find the missing words and everything. Yeah, that would be very interesting to see.
What are your thoughts on that, Gus? Of the book using how in A Link to the Past, I think you got the pendants or something like that once you defeated a dungeon. If in Ocarina of Time, the first 3 dungeons that you went to, you got whatever spiritual stone they had, and then in the later dungeons you got the medallions. What if in Zelda Wii U, when you defeat a dungeon, you get a different chapter of the book that was hidden, and then when you get the complete book, you're able to do some sort of spell or something that'll let you travel to, say, the Dark World or something in order to stop Ganondorf. Do you think that would be an interesting plot and a good use of the Book of Medora, or do you think it would be something different?
It will be like a really nice approach, but I don't want to see what it was similar to Skyward or any of the other games. I would love to know more outside the canon books that we have in the real world, what's happening in Hyrule. If, let's say, Link has to retrieve the chapters on each location, it will be nice to see what the book contains itself. Not just a song, not just a poem, but a lot of information about Hyrule, information about monsters, not something like Navy, but much of Hyrule history itself. That's something that I would like to see, that they're trying to recover information about the past, but also he's trying to recover some of the prophecies that will affect the later games, and how the book itself is connected to Ocarina of Time as well to the other timelines. And if maybe the book has information that they probably knew from the past, the ancient Hylians, that history was going to split into 3 timelines or a little bit more. That's just my approach and all the way that I would like to see it.
Yeah, that would be very interesting if they took that approach to it. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. I'd like to see them take more of a like the Bomber's Notebook from Majora's Mask, where you have certain tasks but just strictly information, almost like Bethesda does with with the Elder Scrolls games, and you can find books throughout the games that give you backstory and history on all the lore and stuff like that. I think it would be a really nice touch for them to add something like that to the games. It'd give us a lot more to theorize about, and it would give the fans a lot more to think about in terms of the world of Zelda, and it actually being this, place that you can go into when you enter a game.
For those that are still watching, would you like to introduce yourselves again to let everyone know where they can find more stuff about you if they want to watch videos or read more of your thoughts? Where would they go, Gus?
With me, they can go to www.guscalbo.com, and that's my personal blog, which I usually add information about video games based on not real fact, but with possible scenarios. And beside that, I need to update my YouTube channel, but that will be within a few months from now.
Yeah, and you're currently writing a piece on your blog about not Ocarina of Time, but the Zelda series and religious views within the Zelda series.
Yeah, the piece that I'm writing is about religious imaginary found in the Zelda games, not only like one religion itself, but how the real world has influence and how the developer personal belief had influenced the Zelda universe, as well how Nintendo of America has created a censorship towards certain symbols.
Alright, and what about you, Rick? Do you have anything that you're working on? And if people wanted to find out more from you, where would they have to go?
If you guys want to find any more of my Zelda videos, just go ahead and, type in RMFH. I'll pop right up on YouTube, or you can head over to my Twitter channel as well. I keep everybody up to date on everything over on my Twitter. Other than that, I've got a new Zelda theory coming this week, and Jesse and I should be starting up a new news series here pretty soon. We'll have a collaboration on both of our channels, but that's basically all I'm working on.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I can't believe you watched all the way through 40 minutes, 30 minutes. How long was it? I don't even know. Crazy. So I want to thank you all for watching it all the way through. Thank RMFH for joining me. Thank Gus for joining me. Thank Zelda Amino for allowing the video to be possible. If it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't have been able to do this. As you can tell, very, very long video, and I'm very grateful you watched it all the way through. Sorry for the technical issues, but I hope that the Twilight Princess footage kind of helped you through it. I don't know. Anyways, future videos won't have those technical issues, but if you want to find out more about Zelda Amino, then click this little box down here, and if you want to watch more discussion video content stuff, then click this box right here. And also, I want to point out that Gus, he was on this video because he pledged on Patreon, I believe the $20 tier. So because of his contributions and Zelda Amino, this was made possible. And if you want to support this page like Gus did, then please go over to Patreon. It'll be up here on my eyeball. Click my eyeball to go to my Patreon page and help support this channel and help me be able to make videos a lot better than this one, because this one was a whole heap mess. RMFH and I actually had to re-record our parts because it was so terrible. We weren't terrible. The program we used to record the episode was terrible. Anyways, click the links. Here is more discussion videos, and here was the Zelda Amino tutorial that I made, which they also have Smash Brothers and anime and a whole bunch of cool stuff. Go check it out. And again, my eyeball, this eyeball. Click it for stuff. Bye.